bars like that.
Practical.
That ain't practical, right? See, alcoholics are pretty practical. It's impractical to drink in bars like that. See, I found myself in a few bars like that, generally when I was trying to wine and dine a woman. See, but very seldom, see, would I go to a place like that, see, if I was just out on my own. See, I always wanted to go to a bar where, the bartender fills it up above the little white line in the shot glass, see, and pours it in there plus a little bit more. See, and then adds the water, builds the drinks the way I want them, see, and they or the house buy every fourth or fifth round, that kind of guy, kind of guy who, when he sees you walking in, has it sitting on the bar here. Here you go. See, all you got to do is sit down, start drinking, and throw the money out there. Everybody know what I'm talking about? It's practical if you're an alcoholic to do that. Okay? How many drug addicts we got in here? Okay, anybody ever buy about an eight ball? About. You ever go out and buy about an ounce of anything? Or you try to make sure, see, that you're getting what you pay for and that the dope ain't bunk. See, it's not some kind of cut with lactose. And see, you don't go around about, well, is this good enough? See, what do drug addicts do? They're practical. See, this is expensive stuff, and it's a matter of life and death when you're jonesing like a bitch, right? See, but you're very practical about it. See, so most of us are practical in many, many ways. See, anybody in here ever had a roommate and checked the phone bill? See, to see who made the long distance call? See, that kind of stuff? See, is that practical? It's practical to do that. You can get ripped off. See, in a lot of ways in life. Right? See, so ask yourself, are there many things in life where you are practical already? Okay, see, and what we're trying to look at here, see, is that the steps are practical, see, for someone who has an unsolvable problem. Okay, so the reader may, the practical individual today is a stickler for facts and results. See, because there's really an ounce of Coke in that thing. Who had the last hit? No problem. Nevertheless, the 20th century readily accepts theories of all kinds provided they are firmly grounded in fact. We have numerous theories, for example, about little children within. No, about what? Electricity. Okay? Everybody believes them without a murmur of doubt. And why this ready acceptance? Simply because it's impossible to explain what we see, feel, direct, and use without a reasonable assumption as a starting point. Okay, is anybody in here an electrical engineer? Or a master's degree in any kind of electrical stuff? Okay. No experts on electrical? Got anybody who's an electrician in here? Are you an electrician? Great, come here. Where are the light switches in this place? Back over here? Come on. I don't know anything at all about electricity. Yeah. I do know some terms like ohm and watt, resistor, and transmission, and nuclear power. I know some terms, but when it actually comes to what electricity is about, actually doing anything with it, I'm totally ignorant. But you could bring a group of 6-year-olds to me, and I could sit them all on the floor, and I could talk to them in such a way that they would believe I knew what I was talking about. Simply because I know some of the terms, and they wouldn't be able to figure out how ignorant I actually am. But if Cheryl here was sitting in the group, while I was talking to the 6-year-old, there would be one person who knew that I'm full of shit. Who would that person be? Now, how would she know? See? She's got some expertise in it, has studied it, training to do whatever she does. Okay, see, so I'm ignorant, she's not over here. Okay? The problem is that it's dark in the room. Okay, now I don't know anything at all about electricity other than some terminology, but what happens in the room when I turn on the switch? It goes on. It goes on. See, so the electricity itself, the lights themselves, don't care that I don't know anything about it. Okay, everybody see that? Now, come over here. Here's Cheryl. She knows more about it than I do. Turn the switch. And everybody look in the room. Is there any more light in the room now because she turned it on? Nope. Okay. The electricity doesn't give a damn who knows what about it. If you don't know anything about electricity, you get light if you turn the lights on. Okay. And if you know a whole lot about electricity, what happens? You get the same amount of light when you turn the lights on. Okay? And a lot of us, see, we think that because we don't know much about God, and we don't have all the answers to all the questions, and we don't have a religious background, You ever thought that? Maybe not true. This is just practical. The lights will come on for anybody. Practical individual of today. Okay, last paragraph on 48, it says, everybody nowadays believes in scores of assumptions, for which there's good evidence but no perfect visual proof. Does not science demonstrate that visual proof is the weakest proof? Okay, here's an example that I'm sure we're all familiar with. Have you ever gotten up in the morning and had your mind leap on you? Wham! Okay, it just starts tearing you apart right from the get-go. You open your eyes, here's all the stuff going on. See, so you get ready and you go to work and you go through your day. And in the day, everything that can go wrong does go wrong. See? And it not only goes wrong in the worst possible way. See, this is the worst day in the history of the human race, and you just had it. Right? So you go home and you're going to go to a meeting that night. See? So you eat dinner and you're taking a shower, and you get all ready and the doorbell rings and it's whoever is going to give you a ride to the meeting. So you open the door, see, and they say, hey, how you doing? And you go, fine. See? Put on this outward appearance. The inward reality is, my life is fucked up. See? The visual proof is the weakest proof. See, we just put the thing down, blam, I'm fine, let's go. No problem here. See? The outward appearance is not the inward reality at all. Has that ever been the case in your life? Okay. Does not science demonstrate that visual proof is the weakest proof? See? So it's easy to conceal, see, a lot of what's going on inside, right? Okay, it is being constantly revealed as mankind studies the material world that outward appearances are not inward reality at all. Okay, now that's true about us as human beings. It's also true about the physical world as we know it. Okay, to illustrate the prosaic steel girder, the word prosaic means common, dull, everyday kind of a deal. So it's like the everyday rusty steel girder you'd see laying in a construction site anywhere. Prosaic steel girder is a mass of electrons whirling around each other at incredible speed. These tiny bodies are governed by precise laws, and these laws hold true throughout the material world. Who tells us that? Science tells us that. Okay. Has everybody seen those kind of pictures in science books when you were a kid in high school and all that? And kind of look like this, and they explain to you about the protons and the ions and the atoms and the nuclei and the thises and the that's. See? Something that never occurred to me until I read the book, that, you know, I sat in science classes where this and all kinds of scientific facts that I can't prove. See, I've never seen this at all, only pictures of it. See, when I see a steel girder, I can walk up and kick it, it goes clang. See, it doesn't look like a whirling mass of electrons to me. It doesn't look like that to me. See, but I believe that that's true because science tells me so. So I'm sitting in science class, you know, in the 8th grade or wherever learning this kind of stuff. See, and the only time I ever raised my hand was to say something like, I don't understand, or what does that mean, or could you tell me how to spell out words, you know, some questions like that. See, I never put up my hand and went, wait a minute, I doubt that. See, you ever notice that people just don't do that? I doubt that. We learn about evolution and all kinds of stuff. We learn about all sorts of stuff. We don't go, well, wait a minute, I doubt that. See, but when somebody starts talking about God, what happens? Oh, wait a minute, I doubt that. Okay, see, so we don't have much doubt when it comes to science, see, when it comes to medicine, when it comes to technology. How many people here have read at least 1 or 2 self-help books? Okay? How many of you would be open-minded to a really good new one? See? See? A really good new John Bradshaw book. See? A new M. Scott Peck book. Oh, yeah, this is great, you know. See, here it comes. See, science tells us so, and we're open-minded. Give me some more of that. See, that's going to solve my problem. Okay? Operating on beliefs and theories when, if we look at our own experience, it's not solving the problem. See? Most of us seem to be doing something for years that is not very practical. How is that so, see, when we're such practical people? See? You begin to, look at it that way. Interesting. See? You believe in science, you believe in self-help, see? You believe in psychology and psychiatry, as opposed to spiritual things. A lot of snake oil in the world. Okay? Science tells us so. We have no reason to doubt it. Okay. When, however, the perfectly logical assumption is suggested that underneath the material world and life as we see it, see, there is an all-powerful, guiding, creative intelligence. Right there, our perverse streak. What does perverse mean? Anybody know? Huh? Twisted? Okay. Anybody else? Huh? Doubt? Yeah. Prejudice? Self-will. See? All those things that you guys said are true. Perverse, self-will. See? Which will quite often create doubt and confusion and twist things and all that. See? So, when, however, the logical assumption is suggested that underneath the material world and life as we see it, there is an all-powerful, guiding, creative intelligence right there, our perverse streak. See? So what do you need to ask yourself right there? Do I have a perverse streak, see, when it comes to what we're talking about? See? Do I have that? Am I reading about somebody else here? See? Right there, our perverse streak comes to the surface. Our hand goes up. See? I doubt it. No way. See? And we laboriously, everybody know what laborious means? A lot of hard work and effort. We laboriously set out, see, not on a path of spiritual growth, but to do what? Convince who it ain't what? Ourselves that it isn't so. And see, how do we do that? We read wordy books. How many people in here have read at least one wordy book? See, and indulge in windy arguments. How many people in here have indulged in at least one windy argument based on the wordy book? Okay. See, it just kind of blew me away to start looking at this and to realize that every argument I have ever been in, see, let's say I'm arguing with Kelly about anything. It could be God, it could be anything at all. See, I always thought I was trying to convince her. Who was I trying to convince? Me. See, I do not argue about things I know. See, I don't argue about things that I know out of my own experience. I only argue about beliefs, things that I'm not sure of. See? And when I'm arguing, I'm really not trying to convince the other person. I'm trying to convince me. See, because when I really know, I don't get into arguments. See, if you tell a little kid that, if you put your hand on the stove, it'll burn you, the kid goes, no, it won't, no, it won't. I don't know. You going to argue with him about it? See, I don't argue with him. I say, yes, it will. Wow, we're going to do something about this. See? When something is absolutely true, see, I don't argue about it.
You do show them?
Yeah, if they want to be shown. If they don't want to be shown, then they get to get burnt. See, but you might look at all the stuff that you got going on about God, see, which is what we're actually talking about here, see, and see who you've been trying to convince in your life. See? What is all the self-help stuff trying to convince yourself of? Power over alcohol? Power over your problems? Could it be? I'm not really powerless? See? Why am I open to the next self-help book? Why am I open to money? Why am I open to a relationship? Why am I open to this, that, or the other thing? I'm definitely not open to a power greater than myself. Why is that? See? Start asking yourself those kind of questions. Okay? Right there, our perverse streak comes to the surface, and we laboriously set out to convince us it ain't so. We read wordy books and indulge in windy arguments. This is a great sentence. Thinking. Where does thinking go on? In the mind. In the mind. We believe. Where does belief go on? In the mind. See, this universe needs no God to explain it. I am the captain of my ship. I am the master of my own destiny. I can solve my problems. Blah, 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 blah. You had any failure in those areas? Okay. The human resources? See? Yeah, shipwreck. Yeah, over and over and over again. You bet. Okay, so were our contentions true? See, now what is our contention? See, isn't this your contention if you have been relying on yourself, that my world needs no God? See, it's real clear. All I got to do is look and see, yep, I've been self-reliant all my life. Is that a contention that I don't need God? Here I am in AA, and I'm still relying on myself, so my contention still is that I don't need God. See, it's not difficult to see if you got an open mind. See, it's very clear and very simple. Who or what are you relying on, and what does that mean? I don't believe in God, or, there may be one, but I don't need him, or it, or however you conceive of it. See, were our contentions true? It would follow that life, whose life are we talking about here? Our own. Originated out of nothing, means nothing, and proceeds nowhere. Okay, now anybody in here besides me come out of a drunk or a drug run or whatever you're up to, see, singing "What's It All About," Alfie? See, why doesn't my life work? Is there such a thing as love? Is anybody really happy? Why do I keep doing this? What am I going to be when I grow up? Why am I such a dick? Oh, God damn, just, You ever done that? See, thought that, see, and as time goes on, that gets worse and worse, and you look around and I don't see anything that works. Nobody's getting, everything I try falls apart, nothing's worthwhile. Life is meaningless. See? Now, where does that come from? See? Where does that come from? See? Does that stuff have a source in you? Is it just a cosmic accident that we keep finding ourselves at the end of a drunk doing that? See? Or does that stuff have a source, a cause? See? What is the cause?
Self-centered.
Okay. All you got to do is look at your own experience. Okay? So instead of regarding ourselves as intelligent agents, spearheads of God's ever-advancing creation, we agnostics and atheists. All right, everybody in here who thinks they might be agnostic or atheist in any form whatsoever, put your hand up. Okay? Keep your hand up while we read the rest of the sentence. See, we who don't know, see, chose. Where do you choose what you choose? In your mind. To believe. Where do you believe what you believe? In your mind. See, that our human intelligence, what's that? The mind. See, is what? God. The last word, the Alpha and the Omega, and the beginning and the end of all. Self-reliance is God. See? And where is all of that going on? In the mind. See? Where's the main problem of the alcoholic? In the mind. See? So the choice, it's the alcoholic's mind making a choice to believe that it can solve the problem, can make everything work. See? Is that you? Okay, let's go back to page 35. Line number 4. From the top. What sort of thinking? See, where does thinking go on? In mind. Dominates. What does the word dominate mean? Control or higher power. See? So, see, here's the alcoholic who has chosen to believe that he or she is God. See, and can do it themselves. That's the mental state that precedes a relapse into drinking. Turn over to page 36. Say hello to God. First paragraph. What's God's name? I. What is the name of your higher power? I, me, mine. See? We chose to believe that our human intelligence, it was the last word, the Alpha and the Omega, and the beginning and end of all. Rather vain of us, wasn't it? Vain, remember, has two meanings, and we learned them in chapter 3 on the first page. It means proud, and it means futile. See? So is that a rather proud and futile position to be in if you're an alcoholic, see, who can't stay sober on their own? Faced with alcoholic destruction. we're going to stop here for today because this is a good breaking point. We'll finish. We left off on page 49, but we're going to start on page 47. Right in the middle of the page. We've been talking a lot about prejudice in terms of the solution. And I hope everybody's been looking at prejudices, and that's why I put this little thing up on the board here, is that many of us have been bombarded with many different kinds of messages from many different kinds of places, some of us for many years. And we are generally open-minded to that kind of stuff for a while, and it doesn't work, and everybody's saying something different, and the longer that goes on, the more closed-minded we seem to become. That's definitely my own experiences. So you might look at your own experience of those kind of things and see if you have become closed-minded after having gotten many solutions that don't work, seeing many suggestions which don't make sense, and a lot of warm, creamy understanding that doesn't solve the problem, and all that kind of stuff. See, the middle of page 47, let's all read that first sentence together out loud. It says, we needed to ask ourselves but one short question. See, what is the question? Do I now believe, or am I even willing to believe, that there is a power greater than myself? Okay, so if you look at this little thing I drew up here, so there could be a hell of a lot more arrows, of various things that we all get into. See, are any of these a power greater than you? They all power equal to you. See, is an AA meeting a power greater than yourself? Is that a power equal to yourself? See, is a hug a power greater than yourself, or is that a power equal to yourself? See, is a feeling a power greater than yourself, or is that a power equal to yourself? See? Is an emotion, see, a power greater than yourself or a power equal to yourself? See, all those kind of things, see, are not powers that are greater than ourselves. They are all powers that are equal to ourselves. See, we're looking for a spiritual solution here, which requires us to ask ourselves one honest question. Do I now believe, or am I even willing to believe, that there is a power, but what kind of power? Greater than myself. Okay. Okay, let's go over to page 49, where we left off, which was right in the middle of the page. And we had talked about, how, when science tells us things, see, we're pretty open-minded to that. Hasn't solved our problem. See, when people suggest a spiritual solution, right there our perverse streak comes to the surface. Screw you. No way. See, can't be, not me. See, so we all need to examine our own open-mindedness. And remember the three terms we saw back in the chapter on, or not the chapter, but the appendix on spiritual experience, where they talked about an attitude of intolerance or belligerent denial. Okay. You might ask yourself if you have shown or have any intolerance or belligerent denial. See, there are a couple of problems we can run into when we're trying to solve this problem here. See, one of them is we deny we have the problem at all. I'm not powerless. This is interesting information, but it doesn't apply to me. See, and all the forms of that go on. See, I'm not really fatally ill. This really isn't a disease. Maybe you guys have it if it exists, but I don't. I'm not that bad. I didn't go that far. All the stuff that comes under the category of denying the problem. See, but there are a lot of people who admit they have the problem but deny the solution. See, and you might look and see where you are with that. Because there's really two forms of denial. The people who are running on self-will and self-reliance have absolutely denied the solution. No way. So these are things that you can look at for yourself. Okay, so let's go to the middle of page 49. It says, instead of regarding ourselves as intelligent agents, spearheads of God's ever-advancing creation, we agnostics and atheists, and I hope everybody knows where they are with these terms now after last week, where do we choose what we choose? In our mind. To believe, where do we believe what we believe? In our mind. That our human intelligence, what's that? Our mind. see, was the last word. The Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and end of all. See? In other words, I already know. See? You can't tell me anything I don't know. See? I'm going to think my way out of this. I'm going to figure my way out of this. See? So where is the main problem of the alcoholic? In the mind. See? So here is an alcoholic, see, who is going down the doom curve that we've all looked at, see, whose life doesn't work, see, who seems to be unable to get himself or herself sober and then stay that way. See, we can get sober for a while, but then we always relapse. See, saying, see, I don't need any spiritual help. I can do this on my own. Okay? So we're not talking about human help here, see, and group support and hugs and emotions, and so we're talking about, see, literally a power greater than ourselves. Rather vain of us, wasn't it? Vain, remember, means proud and futile. Everybody remember those two meanings? Okay, we. Who's the we? First 100 people. You have traveled this spiritual path. What does dubious mean? Anybody know? Doubtful. Doubtful. Very questionable. Okay, see, so ask yourself, what kind of a path have you been on? A path of self-reliance? A path of I can do it? Okay. Has it been a doom curve? See, a path of self-destruction? See, it's a dubious, questionable path, see, for someone who's got alcoholism. We have traveled this dubious path, so they've been where you've been if you're somebody like me who's a real alcoholic. See, so we beg you to lay aside what? Prejudice. Everybody beginning to be open-minded to maybe you got some prejudices about all this. Get rid of all the racial connotations on the word prejudice and start looking at our preconceived notions when it comes to what powerless means and what God's all about and what this program is, the alcoholism and our old ideas about God and spirituality and see all that kind of stuff. See, we beg you to lay aside prejudice, even against organized religion. We have learned. See, it doesn't say we knew from the get-go. See, we hatched out of an egg, wise and wonderful. No, we have learned, see, that whatever the human frailties of various faiths may be, those faiths have given purpose and direction to millions. Okay, people of faith have a logical idea of what life is all about. See, it doesn't say that all religious people are spiritually awakened, see, but they have a logical idea of what life is all about. Okay? And actually, we used to have no reasonable conception whatever of what life is all about. See, now is that true? Last week, see, we looked at if you go back up to the last sentence of the top paragraph on this page, remember we talked where it says, were our contentions true, it would follow that life originated out of nothing, means nothing, and proceeds nowhere. See, and we talked about how we all come out of these drunks and drug runs and all that singing, what's it all about, Alfie? What am I doing here? Why doesn't my life work? What am I going to be when I grow up? See? All that kind of stuff. See? Now, is that someone who's got a logical idea of what life's all about? Or is that some evidence that maybe you don't? See? The more I looked into this, the more I realized I have never known what I was doing here. See? And a lot of these little doubts and fears and things, the feelings of alienation and maybe I came from the wrong planet, you know, all those kind of things that would go through my mind started to make some sense to me because I never really knew, see, what my purpose was here. Nothing seemed to work. Okay, so we used to have no reasonable conception whatever. We used to amuse ourselves by cynically dissecting spiritual beliefs and practices. Anybody done that besides me? Ever had those cynical kind of discussions about, you know, the door-to-door religious people and say all that kind of stuff? Slam the door in their face, you know, the hell with them. So if you were raised in a religion, you probably took it apart quite a bit. I sure did. I was raised a Catholic, and I've been railing about that most of my life. Anybody here get cable TV? You know, do you ever watch the Comedy Channel? I mean, it's constant stand-up comedy on there, and about half of those guys and women, see, are ex-Catholics. You ever notice that? Then they do all these Catholic jokes, and their whole audience is, yeah, right on, the nuns, and, you know, all this kind of stuff. See, so, see, you might see if you have cynically dissected, you know, other people's spiritual beliefs and practices. And it says, when we might have observed. What does observed mean? Yeah, looked or noticed or seen. See, we might have observed that many spiritually minded persons of all races, colors, and creeds were demonstrating, it's an important sentence, see, they were demonstrating a degree, not of perfection. See? When I ran into spiritually minded people in my life, I demanded perfection of them. See? And when they weren't perfect, see, I said, to hell with it. See? What they have doesn't work, they're fools, they're idiots, da-da-da-da-da. See, and then I'd start to attack them. And I thought, see, one of my jobs in life was to take my little intellectual ice pick, and if I ran into you and you had some faith, see, I'd start seeing if I could chip away at the foundations of whatever you believed, see, and then if I could topple you, then I could walk away laughing. Ha, 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 see, that doesn't work. And so you might look and see if you've done stuff like that. See? Demonstrating a degree of stability, happiness, and usefulness which we should have sought ourselves. Okay, now the word demonstrate doesn't mean talk about. Everybody know the difference between discussion and demonstration? Big difference. Right? Remember the word demonstrate from page 19? A much more important demonstration of our principles lies before us in our homes and our occupations and our affairs. See, not a discussion, not talking about it, not thinking about it, actually doing it. Okay, so demonstrating a degree. Three things: stability, happiness, and usefulness. And I look back in my own life, see, I started to ask myself, how much stability have I actually had? I was 38 years old at the time, been drinking for 25 years. And I could see that financially I've never been stable. Emotionally I've never been stable. I've never had a stable relationship or family life. I've never had a stable career. See? Nothing in my life was stable. See? None of my ideas. I wasn't politically stable. I wasn't, nothing. I've been bouncing around, wishy-washy, never had any solid intellectual ground to stand on. See? Every time I took a position, it seemed like a wave would come in and erode the sand underneath me, and I'd go, pah! See? I have had no degree of stability in my life. See? I've just really been lost and adrift and on the run. See? It's an old saying, pillar to post. Anybody ever heard that one? Boom, 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 back and forth. It just means back and forth, up and down. So you might look, see how much stability you've actually had in your life. Okay, the next one is happiness. See, I looked at this one. I didn't even like looking at this and admitting it, but I couldn't find a time back in my past, even when I was a kid, when I was happy. See, I have found fun and excitement, and danger is my business, and I've boogied and partied a lot, and done all that kind of stuff. But I've never been happy. Had no experience with happiness whatsoever. You might look at your own experience. You may have some, you may have had a lot. I didn't have any. So here's two things I didn't have any of. I was totally unstable, totally unhappy. What's the opposite of happy? See, you ever hear that word in AA? Nobody ever uses that word, do they? Sad. Very interesting. See, I was a sad human being. Okay, and usefulness. See, what's the opposite of useful? Useless, see, or unuseful, obviously. Have you ever felt useless? See, it was a major resentment that I've had all my life, and I got kind of clear about it on my fourth and fifth step. But everything I've ever done or been into, I was replaceable. See, every job I've ever left or been kicked out of, they replaced me in about 3 seconds with another warm body. See, I wasn't needed there. See, they can use me while I'm there. See, but to leave doesn't mean anything to them, whoever they are. See, every relationship I have ever left, I used to live by a principle called "You're going to miss me when I'm gone." And that was always my desire. I always wanted the women that I broke up with to sit there and pine and whine and, be all screwed up, and never be happy again because I left. And so I'd leave, and about 6 seconds later, there was another guy there. And it would just piss me off. I couldn't stand it. And that kind of stuff happened to me over and over and over again in my life. I felt useless. I didn't seem to have anything really to offer anybody that seemed to make any difference whatsoever. Anybody else felt that way or had that kind of an experience? So there's three things they talk about there, and all three of them, I didn't even have a degree of. See, and I start looking around, and I could see that a lot of the people that I have joked about and attacked and done all that kind of stuff, see, because of their beliefs and the way they live their life, they did have at least a degree of these three things: stability, happiness, and usefulness. See, so what I see in the book here is absolutely true when I look at my own experience of life. See, so these are some things that you might start to look at, see, and wonder about, and how are you going to get it, and all that sort of stuff. Okay, let's go over to page 50. It says, instead, okay, so instead of what? Instead of being open-minded, see, what did we do? We didn't observe, see, the good that came out of what other people did. We looked at what? Their defects. We took their inventory. Okay, so instead, we looked at the human defects of these people. See, so ask yourself, where have your eyes always been riveted? See, notice these words they're using: observe and look. See, where's your attention always been riveted? See, the crap that other people do? See, taking their inventory, all that kind of stuff. So we looked at the human defects of these people and sometimes use their shortcomings as a basis of wholesale condemnation. You ever done that? See, had one bad experience with one person, see, and then said, well, they're all that way. See, I've done that racially, and I've done that in religious contexts, and I've done it in terms of other countries and all that sort of stuff. Wholesale condemnation. And pretty soon what happened is I have condemned everybody. See? I was the only okay person there was. See? And that's the way it ended up. That's where I was when I took the steps. I thought I was the only okay person that lived. See? I had wholesalely, condemned the whole world. Men, women, children, every race, every color, every creed, every faith, every religion. I knew what was wrong with them. I had looked at their defects, see, and made judgments. And there I was, they say no man is an island. Never seen Orson Welles in a swimming pool. But, there I was, all alone. Anybody remember that old Paul Simon and Garfunkel song about the guy, I have my books and my poetry to defend me. I'm shielded in my armor. Okay. That was back in the 60s. Remember that song? Yeah, see, that was me. See, and I used all my, remember Bill used the term the icy intellectual mountain? See, well, that was it. See, that's what I used. My ideas and my thinking and books and newspapers and magazines and, all that kind of stuff. See, that was my island. That's where I lived. See, and everybody was fucked as far as I was concerned. I don't know where you guys are, see, but that was my whole outlook on life. It was totally negative, totally pessimistic, full of judgment and opinions and everybody else. See, when I might have observed, see, that my life didn't work, see, and I was unhappy camper and unable to stay sober. Okay, so we talked of intolerance. Anybody in here ever talked of intolerance? See, when you talk of intolerance, whose intolerance do you generally talk of? Somebody else's, right? See, that was me. See, we talked of intolerance, but always somebody else's while we were intolerant ourselves. See, what does it demonstrate? To sit there and talk about somebody else's intolerance demonstrates our own, doesn't it? I mean, just a priori. See, just the doing of that. See, so actually, see, as I read the book, I saw this word intolerance come up over and over and over again, and I had always thought I knew what it meant. So I had to go look it up in a dictionary. I found out I didn't know what it meant. So you might check that out for yourself. Find out exactly what intolerance is and what tolerance is. Okay, we missed the reality and the beauty of the forest because we were diverted by the ugliness of some of its trees. And you can give yourself a good demonstration of that if you just hold your arm up in front of your face like this. See, and call this a tree trunk. See, and notice how much of the room you can see when you hold your arm up directly in front of your face. See? But in the same way, see, if you walked in a forest and walked directly up to one redwood and stuck your nose on the redwood, how much forest can you see? None. See, all you can see is bark, right in front of you. Okay, see what they're saying here, see, is our prejudices and our closed-mindedness about all this. See, we are like this, and we don't even realize it. See, when you read things that have spiritual connotations, words like blind and all that sort of stuff, they don't really make a lot of sense to us because, see, here we are and we're looking out of our own eyes and we can see everybody, and we don't really understand, see, that what they're talking about, see, is the stuff that is going on in our belief systems and in our minds. Okay. See, so what do? See, we miss what recovery is all about, see, because we got our nose pressed against our own prejudices. Does that make sense to you? So we never gave the spiritual side of life a fair hearing. See, and we can't give it a fair hearing as long as we say, I'm not prejudiced. See? Can you notice that, see, you probably, every time you hear the term closed-minded, you assume that's not you? It just goes over your head? See, that's what happened to me when I was new in AA. I just assumed that wasn't me. I called myself open-minded. See? But see, only a closed-minded person believes he or she is open-minded. See, so if you assume you're open-minded, that's probably some evidence that you are closed-minded. See, that was my experience. See, any open-minded person would examine themselves. See, for what? Closed-mindedness. See, that's the sign of an open mind. Okay, so we never gave the spiritual side of life a fair hearing. Now, there's a whole bunch of us who have been what are called laughingly spiritual seekers out there in the world. Anybody besides me been a spiritual seeker out there in the world? You notice that you never gave the spiritual side of life a fair hearing while you were doing the spiritual seeking? Okay. It turns into, some intellectual pursuit. It turns out to be mind candy. We're dilettantes. That's why we get into so many things. See, everything we get into doesn't look like it's going to work or whatever, and we don't like the people in it, see, so we're just out there doing all this kind of stuff. And we like to comfort ourselves by going, well, at least I'm a spiritual seeker. I'm so much better than the rest of these turkeys who aren't doing what I'm doing. Anybody thought that way? See, that was one of my beliefs. And so I was way less than better than anybody. Okay, next paragraph says, in our personal stories, where are the personal stories? Back of the book. You will find. How will you find this? You have to look, right? So you can't find if you don't look. So in our personal stories, you will find a wide variation in the way each teller approaches and conceives of the power, see, which is what? Greater than himself. See, whether we agree with a particular approach or conception seems to make little difference. Okay, see, so here they're hitting again, see, on a prejudice that a lot of us have, see, that we got when we were kids, especially if we were raised religious. See, I told you I was raised a Catholic. See, in the Catholic religion, at least the way it was given to me, it was very important that we all, and I mean everybody, agree on what God is, where God is, what God's up to, what the rules are. See, all that made a great deal of difference in the religion, see, that I was raised in. See, you had to believe, I had to believe what I was taught about these things. See, I railed against that. My mind was closed against that. See, I wanted to ask questions, and I object, and listen to me, and all that kind of stuff. See, so in terms of spirituality and in terms of working these steps, see, how we conceive of the power that is greater than ourselves. See, our own understanding of God, in other words, see, is not an issue. See, it makes a little difference. See, everybody in this room is going to have a different concept of God, see, and I doubt if any of us are going to be right. See, I think all of us, as we grow spiritually, are going to find out, how wrong we are about what God's up to. Okay? See, so it really doesn't make a whole bunch of difference. Okay? So I want to give you an example. Let's imagine that you may be, but you may not be, but imagine that you are a grandparent, okay, and you have 3 kids. Each of your 3 kids has 1 kid. That means you have 3 grandchildren. Now, on some stormy, rainy night, you get a phone call at 3 o'clock in the morning, and you get some bad news from the highway patrol. And what they tell you is that they have just found an automobile with your 3 children in it, and they're all dead. They were out celebrating something. Okay, and the cops have learned that each of the grandchildren had been left at a babysitter, so they have gone and picked them all up, and they got them down at the police station now. And they want you to come down and get them, 3 o'clock in the morning, stormy, rainy night. Would you be willing to do that? Everybody be willing to do that? Okay, so you walk in, and here are these 3 grandchildren, 6 months old, 1-year-old, and a 1.5 years. Now, 6-month-old can't even talk. The 1-year-old can kind of wander around and gurgle a little bit, and the 1.5-year-old can talk just a little bit. See, and they're all sitting there with a teddy bear and a chocolate ice cream cone, and they're crying, and they're all fucked up. They don't know what's going on. You walk in. Okay? Now, the 6-month-old doesn't even recognize you. Okay? That's your grandchild, but is incapable of even recognizing you, doesn't know your name, whatever. The 1-year-old does kind of get at who you are. See, and the 1.5-year-old knows that you're granddad or grandma, and they call you Damps or something like that. Okay, now, none of them, see, knows anything about you, really. They don't know anything about your life, what you're up to. See, they don't know where you're coming from, what your rules are. See, zip. See, they're too young, they really don't understand any of that. See, this one can call you sort of by name, this one can't, and this one can't either. They don't even know, you can't even recognize who you are. Now, because they don't know anything about you, will you just turn around and walk out and refuse to help them? What would you do? Yeah, you pick them up, take them home, right? Stormy, rainy night. They're helpless. See? See, they don't know any better. They're totally, see, innocent and helpless. Okay, see, now we all sit around here, see, and we try to figure out what's God's name and where does he live and what are the rules and the regulations and what's the plan of action. Da-da-da-da-da-da. See, and like if we get this idea that if we don't do that, see, God isn't going to help us. See, maybe that's not true. See, maybe that's just an old idea that a lot of us have. See, maybe we ought to look at ourselves, see, sort of in terms of these kids at the police station, see, who don't really know. See, we're just willing to be helped. Okay? See, so if you don't have the name right, you know, and all the right cosmic understandings and all that, see, it's not necessary. It doesn't have to be, you know, an impediment to you. So you can conceive of God any way you want to. See, as long as it's a power greater than yourself that can and will help you, if you're willing to follow the directions here, work the steps. Okay, see, so you begin to notice that this whole chapter is about let's get rid of our old ideas, let's look and see what we got, see if we can let go of them. Okay, so whether we agree with a particular approach or conception seems to make little difference. Experience has taught us. See, not our parents have taught us, not a preacher has taught us, not a book has taught us, but experience has taught us that these are matters about which, for our purpose, we need not be worried. See, ask yourself, are you still worried about these kind of concepts? See, how did these people find that they need not be worried? See, why are we sitting here still worried? We must still be prejudiced or afraid or something, have old ideas. These are things we all need to start looking at. See, there are questions for each individual to settle for himself or herself. Okay? See, have the widest possible latitude here. Okay, on one proposition, however, these men and women really get into fights. What is the program of Alcoholics Anonymous? No, on one proposition, however, these men and women are what? Strikingly agreed. See, what does this say right up here? I can't do what 10 people tell me to do. See, if you're somebody who has gone to AA, see, and heard 10 or 20 or 30 different things going on everywhere you go, found that confusing, see, that's because we're human beings in AA. See, and a lot of human beings in AA don't understand the program, don't think it's necessary, all kinds of stuff. But if you're somebody who wants to solve the problem, see, we have one proposition on which we can absolutely agree. So put your finger on the word agreed right there, and let's go back to page 17. First page of chapter 2, and I hope everybody underlined this down at the last paragraph. It says, the tremendous fact for every one of us is that we have discovered what?
A common
solution. Do I now believe, or am I even willing to believe, that there is a power which is greater than myself? Okay? We have a way out on which we can absolutely do what? Agree. Agree. See? So you might ask yourself, are you in agreement? Are you in disagreement? Are you in apathy? See, where are you? We have a way out upon which we can absolutely agree. It's a real interesting thing. As you go around in Alcoholics Anonymous, you'll find other recovered alcoholics, and you can spot them. They got like a neon sign on them, and they all absolutely agree what the solution is. I haven't met anybody who's recovered who disagrees about this. Back on page 50. On one proposition, however, these men and women are strikingly agreed, every one of them. So who's excluded from a statement that says every one of them? Has gained access to and believes in a power greater than himself. Okay, this power has in each case accomplished the miraculous, the humanly impossible. See, we were powerless to do what we are setting out to do here. So we need to find a power greater than ourselves. And that's a reference back to page 45 where it says that's what the book is about. They show you where and how to find this power. Okay, as a celebrated American statesman put it, let's look at the record. Okay, so obviously that celebrated American statesman wasn't Spiro Agnew. He's not too celebrated. Okay, here are thousands of men and women, worldly indeed. Everybody know what worldly means? Materialistic. See, I'm what most of the fundamentalist religions in the world would call a sinner, a worldly guy. See, I like sex and money and partying and boogieing and drinking and drugs and all, loose women. I like to be loose myself, all that stuff. Worldly indeed. Okay, they flatly declare that since they have come to believe in a power greater than themselves, what step is that?
2.
That's step 2. To take a certain attitude toward that power, what step is that? 3. Okay, a decision. And to do certain simple things, steps 4 through 12. Certain simple things, not certain easy things, but simple things. Okay, there has been a revolutionary change in their way of living and thinking. Okay, now, you may be someone with some experience, see, that shows you that to come into Alcoholics Anonymous and put the plug in the jug does not produce anything revolutionary in your life. See, you end up with the same old shit, see, with a few cliches and a couple of hugs added to it. See, do you want a revolutionary change in your way of living and thinking? See, because that's the solution. See? But it's only produced as a result of going through the steps. Okay, in the face of collapse and despair. Anybody know those two guys? Those are two good lifelong friends of mine. Collapse and despair, over and over and over again. Okay, in the face of the what kind of failure? Total. Not the somewhat or the occasional, but the total failure of their human resources. And everybody remember that whole list of things we put up here on the board last week? What are human resources? Okay, they found, how do you find things? You got to look or search. See, they found that a new power, peace, happiness, and sense of direction flowed where? All right, circle the word into, because remember the book says where. See, and so they're beginning to tell us where. See, we're going to be looking, see, for this solution. All right, anybody look up the word new this week? I asked you to do that last week. Good. Good. They found that a new power, peace, happiness, and sense of direction flowed into them. Okay? This happened soon. All right? Notice the word soon. What word did we see in chapter 2, quoting Carl Jung? Suddenly. What word did we see in the doctor's opinion, quoting Dr. Silkworth? Suddenly. See, how long did it take Bill Wilson to get results? See, he worked the steps, had a spiritual experience detoxing in a hospital. Okay. See, it happens soon. See, it ain't about 9,000 meetings. It ain't about 18 years of sobriety. See, it ain't about love and hugs. See, this is results that happen following the program of action. See, so this happens soon. What's the word after soon? After. See, not before, soon after. They wholeheartedly, wholehearted means 100%. See? Sincere, real, genuine. Okay? One of the things that I had to face when I was new in AA and going through this was I had never done anything 100% in my whole life. Not one single thing. I didn't get married 100%. I've never taken a job 100%. I wasn't 100% in the family I was in. See? It was all mostly this big reserve of percentage about me and my escape routes. Okay? This happened soon after they wholeheartedly met a few simple requirements. So, once again, you hear all the time, there are no musts in the program of Alcoholics Anonymous. See, what that means is that the person saying that to you has come to believe that there are no musts in his or her program. See, but the program of Alcoholics Anonymous, see, has a lot of musts, a lot of requirements. See, and it takes belief in the power of God, willingness, honesty, and the humility, see, to accept that. See, most of us are pretty unhumble. Anybody in here unhumble besides me? Yeah, fuck you, defiant, yeah, don't tell me what to do, yeah, I don't need that. Okay, see, so this does take some humility, see, but there are requirements in order to bring about, see, the recovery that we're talking about. Okay, once confused and baffled. Anybody been that? Especially in really good hangover? Confused and baffled by the seeming futility of existence. What does existence mean? Life. What's it all about, Alfie? Okay. They show the underlying reasons why they were making heavy going of life. Okay, let's all underline the next 5 words. Leaving aside the drink question. Wait a minute, we're here to talk about alcohol, aren't we? I'm here to talk about alcohol. What does your book say? Leaving aside the drink question. See, they tell why living was so unsatisfactory. Has anybody here found that living can be pretty unsatisfactory with the plug in the jug and the drugs flushed down the toilet? Yeah. Stuff we all need to learn. See? They show how the change came over them. What change? Back to Dr. Silkworth, the entire psychic change. Okay? When many hundreds of people are able to say that the consciousness of the presence of God is today the most important fact of their lives, they present a powerful reason why one should have faith. See, can you honestly walk into an Alcoholics Anonymous meeting and say that? Do you hear many people say that? Do you know anybody that says that? When many hundreds of people are able to say that the consciousness of not a job, not a relationship, not money in the mail, not a hug, the consciousness of the presence of God is today the most important fact of their lives. See, they present a powerful reason why one should have faith. This world of ours has made more material progress in the last century than in all the millenniums which went before. The word millennium means a period of 1,000 years. See, we're coming up on the end of a millennium here in 9 years. Okay, it says almost everyone knows the reason. I didn't know the reason, so I kept reading. Students of ancient history tell us that the intellect, where's the intellect? In the mind. See, of men in those days was equal to the best of today. All right, let's look and see if that's true. Everybody heard about people like Socrates and Plato and Pliny the Elder and Julius Caesar and all those kind of guys lived 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 years ago. Aristotle, yeah, all that. See, they were pretty smart guys. See, and we still study things that they wrote thousands of years ago. See, so they were just as smart as we are. See, they were just as intellectual as we are. See, no difference. See, if those guys hopped in a time machine and came forward to today, you think they could graduate from Harvard? Yeah, they probably could. See, and they could probably do pretty well in this society. See, they're just as smart. They weren't dumb jerks. Okay? See, but they all walked around back in those days wearing togas, and they had to go to the bathroom outdoors, and there weren't any airplanes or any of that kind of stuff. See, it says, yet in ancient times, material progress was painfully slow. The spirit of modern scientific inquiry, research, and invention was almost unknown. See, so if they weren't into that, see, which is what we seem to be into today, see, what were they into, do you think? Yeah. Yeah, philosophical kinds of things and spiritual kinds of things. And what did they write about?
The ecclesiastical history.
See, that doesn't mean they were all holy or anything. There was a lot of political stuff and a lot of murder and greed and, you know. Anybody ever watch I, Claudius?
Yeah. Caligula.
Yeah. See, those guys weren't stupid, see, but they definitely had some, what we'd call kind of silly ideas that they were operating on.
They threw some pretty good vacations down at Pompeii.
They had great parties.
First time I'd ever seen one on silver.
How'd you like to go to Pompeii for spring break? Okay, the spirit, so does everybody understand the point there? The spirit of modern scientific inquiry, research and invention was almost unknown. So there weren't any popeels, pocket fishermen back in those days. So no TV, you know, selling. But wait, now how much would you pay? Okay. In the realm of the material, men's what? Minds. Where's the main problem of an alcoholic? We're fettered See, everybody know what fettered means? It means to be shackled or chained, tied down. See, fettered by three things: superstition, tradition, and all sorts of fixed ideas. See, now, even in Alcoholics Anonymous today, we have come on with a lot of superstitions, traditions, and fixed ideas, see, which weren't parts of AA in the early days. See, but see, what would happen, for example, if you didn't want to say the prayers at the beginning and the end of a meeting? Do you think you'd have a little trouble in AA if you didn't want to do that? See, now why? See, it's not one of our traditions. See, but it's become a very fixed idea or a tradition. See, customary in Alcoholics Anonymous to do that. See, but in a lot of places in AA that isn't done. See, in a lot of places in AA, how it works isn't read at the beginning of the meeting. But if you tried to change that, see, what would happen? You'd run into a lot of flack. See? See, no, what are you trying to do? You're messing with AA. Well, see, those things, see, while they do go on in meetings, have nothing to do with AA. See, they're just part of the customs or the traditions of each individual group, and in many cases an area. See, but it doesn't have anything at all to do with AA. See? It's not part of the AA program to do any of that. Okay, see, so you might look at those kind of things, see, and then look at in other areas of your life, see, to see if you've got things like superstition, tradition, and fixed ideas. See, would those things be termed prejudices? See, having to do with preconceived ideas and assumptions and beliefs and all that stuff we were talking about last week. See, would they tend to keep your mind closed? Okay, see, now, a really good example is, see, my first year in AA, I had come to believe a lot of things that were something other than step 2, or it asked me to come to believe something very specific. I'd come to believe that AA meetings were the most important part of anybody's program. See, that's what I'd come to believe. Well, that's not true. See, it never was true. See, but many people have come to believe that. See, it's become a tradition and a fixed idea in AA. See, but it ain't the program. Never was. See, there are a lot of those kind of things. See, so you might look at that, see, you might look, see, and see where you are in terms of, see, a spiritual awakening, see, and a spiritual experience. See, if you aren't, see, against it or closed-minded to it because of superstition, tradition, and fixed ideas. Whose are we talking about? Each of us. Yeah. See, but see, if we're not even willing to examine that in ourselves, where are we going to get with all this? See, if we just say, nah, it ain't me, yeah, I can see it in Kelly, and I can see it in Dave, I can sure see it in Fred, I can see it in Michael up there, but not me. See, we just assume we have a prejudice that it's true about everybody else, but not me. See, so all of us need to, see, get our eyes off of everybody else, see, and off AA as a whole and start, see, looking in here, how prejudiced am I really? How closed-minded am I really? See? Does that make sense? See, I mean, if you see, can you see that if you could begin to do that, see, it'll certainly make you a little uncomfortable. See, and it's not easy, but you're far more likely to get somewhere, see, with this, see, than just by going to meetings and talking about your problems. See? So it's something you might start to consider. Okay, some of the contemporaries of Columbus thought a round earth preposterous. Everybody know what preposterous means? Ridiculous. See, 1491, you went and asked somebody to show you a map of the world, they'd show you something that was flat. Okay? No globes in those days. Because, who could have a globe if you believe that the earth is flat? Okay? And so you would have the map, and it shows the known world, and then it shows the water at the edges. And then as Dave pointed out to me a couple of weeks ago, what's outside of the water at the edges on those old maps? You ever seen them?
Dragons.
Dragons. The unknown.
There be dragons beyond this.
Yeah, see? And everybody, if you sail out of sight of land, see, in 1491, what happened, man? The dragons got you. See? And it was such a kind of a belief, see, that they actually put the dragons on the maps. I never really realized that until Dave mentioned it a while back, see, but it's really true. See, now, most of us don't carry a map, see, around except in our heads, see, but you might look at the borders of what you know and see if you don't see some fiery dragons there. See, don't go beyond this point. See, I might really get screwed if I believe in God and take the steps. See, I might really get screwed if I believe what this book is telling me. See, I might fall off the edge somewhere and never come back. See if you got some of that kind of fear and things going on in you. Okay. It says others came near putting Galileo to death for his astronomical heresies. Galileo was one of the guys that said that the earth revolved around the sun as part of the planetary system. And this went against a prevailing belief that had been around for thousands of years, that man and the earth that mankind lives on, was the center of the known universe. See, God created us specifically, and everything you see out there in the heavens is revolving around us. And that's what people believe for thousands and thousands of years. See, so Galileo and Copernicus come along and they shoot holes in that, and blam, blam. See, and everybody got pissed. See, because it threatened the prevailing religious and economic and political power structures of the day. It was dangerous. See, and so you might look, as I started to look into things like this, all kinds of old fears came up about everything I had ever read about someone who found the truth about something, and how everybody else rallied around and fried his ass for knowing it. See, got any of those kind of fears going on? See, a lot of us do. See, that, it's dangerous to know the truth about things. See, there's a lot of history that'll tell you that. See, so those are just some things that you might look at. See, and those kind of fears will do what? They'll keep our minds closed. See, it's real nice to know that, they don't do much burning at the stake and crucifying and that kind of stuff in the 20th century. See? We're barbarians in a lot of ways, but we're not barbarians that way anymore, and so that's kind of nice. Okay, it says, we asked ourselves this. Now, if these folks are writing in this book saying that they asked themselves this question, what might you need to do? Ask yourself the same question. See, are not some of us just as biased and unreasonable? What do those two words mean? Closed-minded. About the realm of the spirit, as were the ancients about the realm of the material. Okay, now think about this. See, when Columbus discovered America, he came back and said, I found the New World. See, that's what they called it. Everybody familiar with that? It was the New World. See, and the news spread like wildfire over in Europe. Well, was it new? Been there just as long as the old world had been there. See? The Indians were over here, they're going, hey, so this is nothing new about this. You're new. See? See, the buffalo, hey, this is old. This has been around a long time. Jackrabbits, hey, this is old over here. See? But to Columbus, it was new, right? To the people over in Europe, it was new. But it had always existed. See? Well, we're looking at this, like, see, it's going to be new to us. See, it ain't new to God. See? It ain't new to people who've always known about spiritual awakenings and stuff like that. See, it's just new ideas to us. See? And new, to many of us, equals frightening. See? New and change and stuff like that. So ask yourself, you got any of that kind of stuff? New, change, frightening. Oh, God, I'll be out of control. I won't know what I'm doing. I might make a mistake. I might fall on my face. I might, See, whatever you got going. See? And then, so you might compare whatever ideas you got to the alternative. See, what's the alternative? To die, yeah. Continue drinking and have it kill you. Continue doing drugs. Yeah.
I noticed that Galileo said that if man was no longer the center of the universe, or on the earth, which was the center of the universe, then the reaction of the church that he should be killed and burned at the stake was because he was reducing the extent of our self-centeredness.
Well, it's certainly a self-centered belief that we were all operating on for a long time.
Well, we may have parts of ourselves which, in like manner, want to burn us at the stake as we try to reduce self-centeredness.
Well, could be. That's something that everybody... Sure. See, name one. It's a good point. Name one or two.
Well, it means that I can't pay attention to myself in my mind all the time anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And that'd be terrible. I mean, I wouldn't have anybody to yap around with.
You're going to lose your best friend, right?
Several of them.
I'm a schizophrenic, and so am I, and so am I.
Yes, a civilian from the word go. In the October Grapevine, there was a magnificent sentence which says, left alone with myself, my mind immediately drives me crazy.
Okay, we asked ourselves this, are not some of us just as biased and unreasonable about the realm of the spirit as were the ancients about the realm of the material? So what do you need to ask yourself? See? Am I biased and closed-minded about this? See? I think this is all a bunch of, some kind of guru, voodoo, something or other that some people in AA do. It's a cult, it's this, it's, nah. See? What started Alcoholics Anonymous? How did we get started? Where did the book come from? See, if you're closed-minded about this, look at that. See, what started it all? Things I don't believe in started it all. Things I can't accept, things I don't want, started it all. See, really interesting. See, it's historical fact. See, that spiritual experience started it all. See, just because I don't like it and I want to deal with my feelings and, dance and hug, see, doesn't mean that the facts are not facts. Okay, so, just as biased and unreasonable about the realm of the spirit as were the ancients about the realm of the material. Even in the present century, American newspapers were afraid to print an account of the Wright brothers' first successful flight at Kitty Hawk. See? And why were they afraid? And he's going to give you a bunch of reasons. See, had not all efforts at flight failed before? Did not Professor Langley's flying machine go to the bottom of the Potomac River? See, it didn't fly and it didn't float either. See? Was it not true that the best mathematical minds had proved man could never fly? See, so science was telling the world that it's impossible to fly. See? Couldn't be done. Had not people said God had reserved this privilege to the birds, see, so even religious folks, see, and people believing in God got in on the argument, said it can't be done. If God wanted man to fly, he'd given us all tickets, right? So, only 30 years later, the conquest of the air was almost an old story, and airplane travel was in full swing. See, is that all historical fact that you can look at? See, so there were these two guys, see, back in 1903 or 13, whenever it was. See, they weren't a couple of guys that worked for Boeing. See, they were two ordinary kind of dudes, see, with no aeronautical engineering. See, they didn't have a degree in this whatsoever. They were bicycle mechanics and tinkerers and pretty open-minded. See, and probably alcoholics. Only an alcoholic could be stubborn enough to go like this to everybody else and say, I can do that. See, but, they eventually got theirs off the ground, see, and it took only 30 years. People were flying around the world called circumnavigation, see, non-stop, setting speed records. See, once somebody did it, wham! See, now everybody's willing to believe. See, up until the time somebody did it, nobody was willing to believe. See, what we need to understand, see, is that in Alcoholics Anonymous, somebody's already done it. See, it's been done. See? So it's it's provable. See? And they say that 100 of them have done it. See, at the time they wrote the book. See, and since then, I'm sure a whole lot more people have done it. It's doable. See? And everybody who's done it found out it ain't a new world. It's the same old world. It was always there, still same buffalo and jackrabbits and see, all that kind of stuff. See, but we didn't believe. We had to overcome our prejudices and all that and do it. See, I've done it. I don't apologize for that. See? It's doable, and it solves the problem, just exactly as it says in the book. See? So we all sit around and go, no, nobody's ever done it. I can't do it. It can't be done. Yeah. See? All right, so look and see your own thinking about it. Are you unique and different and excluded? And because it's been done. See? And it's been done by people who've done worse shit than anybody in here has done, I'm sure. Okay, see, so you see the point? Try to have an open mind. See? Is it possible for you? Okay, but in most fields, our generation has witnessed complete liberation of our thinking. All right, now let's just go around. Let's put up your hand if you can think of a field, see, which has demonstrated complete liberation of thinking in the last 100 years. What? Medicine. There's a good one. What else?
Physics.
Physics, yeah. All right. What else?
Women.
Women, sure.
Feminism.
Yeah, see, there's a whole thing that has occurred since, what was her name, Carrie Nation? The women suffragettes back in the early days? Sure. Been an ongoing thing, which is just keeps on going.
Addictions treatment.
Huh?
Addictions treatment.
Yeah, addiction treatment, see, is showing a liberation in thinking.
Psychiatry.
Psychiatry, sure.
Psychology isn't 100 years old.
Psychology, sure.
Doesn't show any.
How about fashion? How about computers?
Music.
Music, sure.
How about morals?
Yeah, morals, morality.
Yes.
Yeah, so especially see in terms of literature and all that. See, those of us who are 40 years old, as I remember, see, you never hear a term. You know, a 15-year-old kid today has never heard the term "banned in Boston." Anybody know the term "banned in Boston"? Yeah. See, back in the day, see, when books used to be censored, movies were censored, see, and there were great monstrous uproars over books like Ulysses and Henry Miller's books and all that back in the 50s. Sure. See? An immense liberation in the whole field of literature and music and all that kind of stuff. See, lots and lots of areas, see, where we have let go of our old ideas and our traditional ways of thinking, see, and new ideas have come in and all kinds of stuff. See, and we look at the world, see, that we live in as a result of this vast liberation in thinking. See, and while some good things have resulted, some not so good things have resulted. Can you name a few not so good things that have resulted from all this?
Divorce.
Yeah, divorce, pollution, nuclear waste, acid rain, ozone holes, drug addiction, alcoholism. See, they aren't new, but they're certainly on the increase. Teenage suicide, elderly suicide. See, there's an awful lot of not so good stuff that has resulted from all these liberations of thinking. It's just stuff you can start to look at. Yeah.
Abortion.
Huh?
Abortion.
Abortion? Well, that depends on your point of view. Not everybody agrees with it. There are a lot of things people agree on, and a lot of things people don't agree on. That's one that has some definite disagreement. Okay, so a lot of stuff. Everybody, so you can see that? See, in most fields, our generation has witnessed complete liberation of our thinking. And see, the words "our generation" really don't even apply to most of us, or to our folks. Okay, show any longshoreman. Now, the reason he uses longshoreman, see, is longshoreman was someone who would be considered the guy on the street. See, in those days, see, just your average Joe kind of dude. See, not high in society, not low in society, just a blue-collar kind of dude. Okay, so show any longshoreman a Sunday supplement, that's like Parade magazine, anything that comes with your Sunday newspaper, describing a proposal to explore the moon by means of a rocket, and he'll say, "No way." What would he say? Well, I bet they do it, maybe not so long either. See, so after only 30 years, see, from the onset of motorized flight, the average guy in the street had already accepted it, see, to such a degree that space travel seemed possible at that point. See, that's how open-minded society had gotten, see, in the whole area of flight. See, and something that only 30 years prior to that, everybody said was impossible. It can't be done. See, so major change, see, can result, see, from things that look impossible. Okay? So you might ask yourself, does spiritual awakening and solution to your alcoholism and drug addiction, freedom from it, look impossible to you? Okay? It says, is not our age characterized by the ease with which we discard old ideas for new, by the complete readiness with which we throw away the theory or gadget which does not work for something new which does? Can you name a few things that don't work when it comes to alcoholism? Theories, gadgets?
All doesn't work.
Okay? See? Self-help, does that work? See? Can you really be hugged back to health? Have you ever found a little child within? Did it solve your problem? See? One more book, one more theory, one more meeting? Therapy, counseling? Have those things worked for you? Okay. Are you willing to abandon your old ideas? See, for something that's going to work. Is not our age characterized by the ease with which we discard old ideas for new? Whose old ideas have to be discarded? See, I want to discard yours. See, that's the kind of guy I've always been. Your ideas suck, and I can prove to you why. But don't mess with mine. See, so see where you've been kind. Is that a prejudice you got? Discard old ideas for new by the complete readiness with which we throw away. Remember the word abandon from last week? We throw away the theory or gadget which does not work for something new which does. See, so you might make a little note there, and once you have some time, get a piece of paper and write down all the theories and gadgets you've tried that haven't solved your problem. Okay, this next paragraph is literally about the second half of step 1. It's also about self-reliance, see, because that's what step 1 is all about. It says, we had to. What does had to mean? Must. See? We had to ask ourselves, see, not our sponsor, not somebody else, not the therapist. See, we had to ask ourselves, see, why we shouldn't apply to our human problems this same readiness to change our point of view. Now, everybody know the words of the Serenity Prayer? We say it at the beginning of every meeting. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I can't change, the courage to change the things I can. Well, what can we change? See, the only thing that I found in the book that I can change, and the only thing I found in myself that I can change, is my point of view. Everything else, see, I seem to be powerless over. See, so you might take a look and see if that's true about you. See, I need to change my point of view, see, from self-reliance to God-reliance. See, and that's going to take some courage to do that. Okay? We had to ask ourselves why we shouldn't apply to our human problems the same readiness to change our point of view. Now he's going to give us a list of human problems. See, let's all read the first human problem together. We were having trouble with personal relationships. Okay? Now, what is your experience of the discussion you hear in most AA meetings? See, what's it generally all about? Personal relationships, not that are working. See, not relationships that are working.
That are troubling.
People who are having trouble, see, with their personal relationships. Okay, see, and personal relationships doesn't necessarily mean sex. See, we're talking about relationships, see, with husbands and wives and girlfriends and all that, obviously. But how about with kids and with parents and co-workers and bosses? See, and the average stranger you meet on the street. Do you have trouble with people? See, and is this an ongoing condition that seems to have nothing to do with whether you're drunk or sober? See, you're having trouble with personal relationships. Sober. Okay. We couldn't control our emotional natures. How's your emotional nature doing? Okay. Do you have trouble with yours? See, do anger and fear, see, all those kind of things put in a pretty regular appearance in your life? See, depression, all that kind of stuff? Okay, can you control it? Can you choose to have a happy day when you're not having a happy day? People used to tell me that, man. We'll just choose to have a happy day. So I'd choose, and my day would say, screw you. So you ain't got a choice. See, I am unhappy, and I'm going to remain that way. Thank you. So we couldn't control our emotional natures. We were a prey. Everybody know what the word prey means? Yeah. Yeah, you're the one that gets eaten. See? You're not the eater, not the predator. See? The victim. See, we were a prey to misery and depression. See, those are a couple of words. See, you ought to look them up in the dictionary and see how much they apply to your experience being sober or clean. See, how much misery and depression do you have? See, I see it everywhere in Alcoholics Anonymous. See, there was a point when I was about 9 months sober where if you'd have looked up misery and depression in an encyclopedia, you would have found my picture there.
With yellow underline.
Yeah,
right.
and at the same time, I was going to Alcoholics Anonymous meetings going, I'm fine. I'm so grateful to be here. See? I'm so happy you people are here for me. See? I'm saying, I'm just lying my ass off about it. See? I didn't have a solution. I didn't see a solution. See, anywhere. Okay, it says we couldn't make a living. Now, some of us, see, have jobs when we get here. When I came to Alcoholics Anonymous, I'd been unemployed for 5 years. So a lot of us can't make a living. It says we had a feeling of uselessness. We talked about that one a page ago. See, have you ever had that feeling? Do you still have that feeling? See, sort of like, it's this thing that, people have come to accept in Alcoholics Anonymous. Well, I'm just a grain of sand on the beach of life, and I don't make any difference. And I've accepted that. It really makes me feel wonderful, and you always want to tell them, go look in a mirror if you've really accepted this and feel wonderful. See? So do you feel useless? See? Later on in the book, see, there's some things which aren't all that well hidden, but they're in the back of the book. You never hear people talk about them in Alcoholics Anonymous. Words like a great cause to live for, see, and a purpose and direction in life. See? Now, it's pretty hard to have a great cause to live for and a purpose and direction in life and a feeling of uselessness at the same time. See? It's absolutely impossible. See, the promises and the problem are contradictory. See? Does that make sense to you? See? The promises and the problem are contradictory. They cannot exist in the same place at the same time. See? You either got this or you got that. One or the other. There's no half measures. Okay? So we had a feeling of uselessness. Do you have that? You want to get rid of it. We were full of fear. How much fear you got in your life? How honest with yourself are you about that? See? I was real dishonest. I'm not afraid of anything. Maybe a band of Zulus on a street corner, but that's about it. Okay, we were unhappy. Are you unhappy? See, that's a hard one for all of us to cop to. I mean, admitting to our own sadness, I think, is maybe one of the toughest things that we have to do. See, are you unhappy? Are you a sad human being? See, do you fight that and try to put on an outward appearance of